From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. President Bola Tinubu and his wife Oluremi to undertake a state visit to the United Kingdom in March, the first by a Nigerian leader in 37 years. Nigeria's Senate convenes emergency plenary session on Tuesday following criticisms over its passage of the Electoral Amendment Bill without the mandatory transmission of election results. 5 years after imposing a sit-at-home order in the southeast region, proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, announces complete cancellation of the order across the region. And Japan's ruling party, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, is projected to secure a landslide victory in Sunday's snap election. President Bola Tinubu, accompanied by his wife, the First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, has formally accepted an invitation from His Majesty the King to undertake a state visit to the United Kingdom from Wednesday, March the 18th to Thursday, March the 19th this year. During the visit, His Majesty King Charles III and Her Majesty Queen Camilla will host the Nigerian delegation at the historic Windsor Castle, reflecting the long-standing diplomatic and cultural ties between Nigeria and the UK, the United Kingdom. Now, the visit is expected to strengthen bilateral relations, enhance trade and investment partnerships, and provide opportunities for discussions on global issues, including climate change, security, and education. This marks another milestone in Nigeria-UK relations, building on previous state interactions and collaborative programs that have promoted mutual cooperation, cultural exchange, and economic development. And to the National Assembly, where the Senate is expected to reconvene for an emergency plenary sitting on Tuesday, February the 10th this year, contrary to its earlier adjournment till February the 26th. Now, the upper chamber had on Thursday last week adjourned plenary after passing the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 to enable lawmakers participate in the ongoing budget defense sessions by ministries, departments, and agencies. Although no official reason has been given for the emergency sitting, it is believed to be connected to the need to adopt the votes and proceedings of the last plenary session, allowing the conference committee set up last week to harmonize differences between the Senate and House of Representatives versions of the amendment bill. The development comes amid mounting calls on the Senate to adopt Section 63 of the proposed amendment, which seeks to make the real-time electronic transmission of election results from polling units to the INEC-IREF portal mandatory. Now, the Senate had retained Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022, which provides that the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot, in the manner as prescribed by the Commission. However, some senators have maintained that the real-time electronic transmission of election results, which they say was the general consensus during the Senate's closed-door sessions, was in fact adopted and passed. The disagreement over what was eventually approved has continued to generate controversy, triggering widespread criticism from civil society organizations and opposition figures. Critics have accused the upper chamber of taking steps that could weaken electoral transparency ahead of the 2027 general elections. With the emergency plenary sitting scheduled for Tuesday, the Senate is expected to adopt the votes and proceedings of its last session, a move that will help clarify the contentious subject and address the growing controversy surrounding the Electoral Act amendment. Governor Omar Eno of Akwa Ibom State has reaffirmed his full commitment to work for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in the 2027 general elections. Governor Eno also tasked the leadership of the Akwa Ibom community to finalize their membership registration of the All Progressives Congress ahead of the elections. The governor stated this during the Akwa Ibom community stakeholders meeting in Abuja.
Arrival! The governor of Akwa Ibom, alongside the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, arrived at the Akwa Ibom House venue of the endorsement meeting amidst cheers from party supporters, community leaders, and elders, among other state stakeholders. The community leadership is backing the re-election of President Tinubu for 2027 as they commend the Arise agenda development in the state.
Your Excellency, whereas 4 plus 4 is 8, we agree, all of us, that come 2027, we will support you for a second term. I so second.
We in Akwa Ibom community were excited about Sofonamka Akwa Ibom State in terms of infrastructural renaissance. It has never been this good. We follow with keen interest. Some of us, we come almost every month. And we are proud of what you are doing.
After the speeches, the community leaders then installed Governor Eno as a grand patron. In his remarks, the governor reaffirms his full commitment to work for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, in the forthcoming 2027 general elections.
Our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, that Akwa Ibom is solidly behind him, and that all of us will vote for him massively, and that we will cast our vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. On his mandate we shall stand. I mean, not be so. We have a number 3 citizen and a Senate president at that. And we want him to go back. And all of us are standing behind him to ensure that the distinguished president of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, is returned as the sole candidate for Senate seat in Ikot-Ekpene Senatorial District. I may not be so.
The highlight of the event is the donation of money for the development of the community and palliatives of food items for community members.
The governor of Kogi State, Usman Ododo, has commended President Bola Tinubu for approving the establishment of free trade zones in the state, describing the decision as a major economic boost for Kogi. Now, the governor says the initiative will reposition Kogi State as an emerging industrial and commercial hub, given its strategic location and abundant natural resources under the Bola Tinubu administration.
The chief servant of Kogi State.
Members of the Kogi State 6th Assembly arrive at the government house in Lokoja for a courtesy visit to Governor Usman Ododo. The lawmakers say the visit is a show of solidarity and a formal endorsement of President Bola Tinubu and Governor Usman Ododo for its second term in office.
Excellency, the Speaker of the 6th Kogi State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Umar Ahmed Imam.
The meeting later continued behind closed doors that lasted several hours. Speaking after the meeting, the leader of the delegation and former Speaker of the 6th Assembly declares the group's support for the policies and programs of the Tinubu-led federal government and the Ododo administration in Kogi State.
This is government of the people, and indeed we are connecting the government more with the people since we represent the people. This is why we are here this afternoon, to actually show solidarity to His Excellency and indeed to endorse his government and his second term in office by God's grace, and indeed the second term of His Excellency Bola Tinubu for his second term too in the presidency.
Governor Ododo on his part expressed appreciation for the endorsement, describing it as a strong vote of confidence in his leadership and that of President Tinubu. He assures that Kogi State is on course to deliver overwhelming support for the president in the 2027 general election.
They are here to appreciate him for graciously approving the free trade zone for us as a state, because we need it more than any other state. They are here to thank Mr. President for giving us an express approval for establishment of airports. If you look at Kogi State, this is a state that this country, Nigeria, was bettered. This is a state where the first airplane that landed in this country is here in Kogi State. And if we don't have airport, I think it's an indictment on all of us that our people have asked to serve them. So they are here to appreciate Mr. President for that singular act. And of course, they are here to endorse Mr. President for his second term coming.
Although Kogi State youths had endorsed President Tinubu, presenting 100 million naira check towards the purchase of his nomination form, this latest endorsement by former members of the state legislature adds to the growing wave of support for the president and the Kogi State government across the state.
Residents of Koro community in Ekiti local government area of Kwara State were thrown into panic this afternoon after suspected armed bandits launched a violent attack. The heavily armed attackers reportedly opened fire as they invaded the community, forcing residents to flee their homes. Early reports indicate that at least one person was killed. Koro shares a boundary with Egbe and Yagba West local government area of Kogi State. Meanwhile, the Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak has led his counterparts from Kogi and Ekiti states, that's Usman Ododo and Abiodun Oyebanji, to visit victims of Woro terrorist attack receiving treatment in a hospital in Ilorin. The governor sympathized with the victims and prayed God to grant them quick recovery.
The governors of Ekiti and Kogi states are in Kwara to commiserate with the government and people of the state over the attacks and killings in Woro, Kayama local government that led to the death of several people. The governors, accompanied by their host, visited the wounded who are receiving treatment at a hospital in Ilorin. With the discharge of most of the wounded, the few remaining are those whose conditions are critical.
So we contact the cardiothoracic surgeon.
The visitors described the attack as unfortunate as they commiserate with Governor Abdurrazak and the people of Kwara State.
I'm here on behalf of the government and people of Ekiti State with my friend and brother, the governor of Kogi State, to express solidarity with His Excellency, the governor and the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, and to also commiserate with him and the people of Kwara State on the unfortunate incident. And we have discussed and we have noted the swift reactions and the leadership he provided at a time like this, and we commended Mr. President for his swift response to this, and we condemn this action in its entirety.
Standing in solidarity with the people of Kwara State, the visitors prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed. A federal government delegation led by the Deputy Senate President equally visited the Emir of Ilorin, Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, over the death of the Chief Imam of Ilorin and the deaths in Woro, Kayama.
The President is also very well saddened about what occurred, and he has rejuvenated. He has asked, he has directed that the military intervention there should be rejuvenated so that this kind of thing will not happen again. He is taking steps to ensure proper security of that area, not only that area, but the entire country.
As the community of Woro count their losses, Governor Abdurrazak appreciates President Tinubu for his prompt response to the attack and a high-level delegation that visited the state.
The indigenous people of Biafra IPOB has announced the cancellation of the Monday sit-at-home directive across the southeast, effective February the 9th this year. The decision, according to the spokesperson and media and publicity secretary of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Imar Powerful, comes directly from the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who emphasized that there is no need for anyone to stay at home on Mondays. In the press release by the spokesperson, all markets, schools, offices, transport services and economic activities are expected to resume fully and normally in all these southeast states. IPOB warns that any individual or group attempting to enforce the sit-at-home order will be acting against Nnamdi Kanu's direct command and will face consequences. The group also cautioned state governors against intimidating traders or shutting down businesses, stating that such actions will be resisted. The sit-at-home directive was initially introduced in August 2021 to protest Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and court appearances, and then his subsequent incarceration. With this cancellation, residents in the southeast are urged to resume normal activities without fear. In part two after the break, motorists are bracing for another bout of gridlock on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway as the federal government begins a fresh round of rehabilitation work on the Kara Bridge. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasted live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu and his wife, Oluremi, to undertake a state visit to the United Kingdom in March, the first by a Nigerian leader in 37 years. Nigeria's Senate convenes emergency plenary session on Tuesday following criticisms over its passage of the Electoral Amendment Bill without the mandatory transmission of election results. 5 years after imposing a sit-at-home order in the southeast region, the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra IPOB announces complete cancellation of the order across the region. And Japan's ruling party, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, is projected to secure a landslide victory in Sunday's snap election. For many commuters, the mention of Kara Bridge in Lagos alone sparks anxiety. One of Lagos' most notorious traffic choke points, the bridge is once again in focus as a new phase of rehabilitation begins. With the second phase of repairs set to last 6 weeks, motorists are already bracing for renewed gridlock along the busy corridor. But while construction work often takes the blame, the Federal Road Safety Corps says the bigger threat lies in poor driving habits, warning that impatience and indiscipline could worsen traffic conditions and increase crash risks. Our correspondent Chris Lems reports.
Meters in a marathon, it's a sprint. On the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, it can be an eternity. The Kara Bridge stands as a significant connect for Nigeria's commerce, but some days it feels more like a bottleneck. Recent repairs on the expansion joints turned this axis into a near standstill. For many, the frustration was palpable.
The best moment I cry because of the use of my motor. I'm the driver. My motor clutch plate can't smell. You know, even green move because of the traffic.
Well, we're tired for inside the hold up, inside the traffic. We're really tired. It's affecting even passengers. We when the drivers, we still affect us. Because the place we are going, you're not reaching time. You lose wow.
With the gridlock, a law threw caution to the wind, driving against traffic. The infamous one-way became the gamble of the impatient.
From here, going, when the people coming from Lagos pass one way, you coming from Shagamu goes one way. We'll be free.
As the second phase of work is set to start, beginning from the inward-bound lane for a 6-week period, the FRSC is reading the Riot Act. There will be no special cases and no shortcuts.
We are relating with other agencies. We can't do it alone. The LASMA, the police, the trace, even the military, we are involved in them. So it is out of members of the public and motorists to bear with the pain so that the gain can come. For example, a situation where people will be driving against traffic, I want to tell them today, it's a warning. I'm not appealing, it's a warning. Anyone caught driving against traffic will be appropriately penalized, and if need be,
taken to court of competent jurisdiction for prosecution. So that is where we are, and that is what we're going to do. We can't leave this thing. We cannot continue to see crashes. Hence, it has to be, the bull has to be taken by the horn.
For the next 1 month and a half, the bridge will be a test of character. Whether this 6 weeks window remains well managed or snowballs into total chaos depends entirely on the persons behind the wheel. Chris Alems, Channels Television News.
Experts say scaling cargo operations across other airports in Nigeria requires key infrastructure like cold chain facilities and functional cargo terminals. Tonight, we examine how targeted infrastructure investment can unlock the cargo potential of Nigeria's airports, reduce pressure on Lagos, and position the country as a competitive logistics hub. Our aviation correspondent, Bukola Jo Oketumbi, reports.
Nigeria's air cargo story is taking flight, and exports are powering the climb. Data from the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria shows total cargo movement rising from over 140 million kilograms in 2022, growing steadily through 2023 and surpassing 150 million kilograms by 2024. Exports tell the biggest story. In 2024 alone, outbound cargo jumped to 42.7 million kilograms, the strongest performance in 3 years, signaling a gradual but clear pivot toward export-led trade.
Nigeria as a whole is still import-driven, and the import volumes are still outstripping export. The government is export-focused. There are various policies in place to encourage exports, and we have keyed into that.
Yet, more than 70% of Nigeria's international cargo still moves through Lagos Airport.
The whole idea was, initially, Nigeria was not paying so much attention to export. So the small ramp area we had was much more than enough. But now with the growth of air cargo, people doing a lot of export, it's now putting so much pressure on the ramp because it needs to be expanded. Although work has started on it, the expansion is ongoing, but I think the pace of work is a bit slow.
Across the country, several airports sit underused, right beside production hubs: Enugu, Ilorin, Akure, and Yola. Scaling cargo beyond Lagos means transforming these airports into functional export gateways.
Jos has maybe certain hectares and hectares of lettuce or tomatoes or whatever. Now, working with NQS quarantine to ensure that whatever destination, Africa and Europe, this farm meets the criteria. Now, we as FAM, as the provider of infrastructure, can now say, Jos, because of the numbers of farms that are perishables and this sort of perishables, this sort of infrastructure to deploy here, this sort of cold chain to deploy here, because we have that hard data to work with. It helps the planning.
At the heart of this shift is infrastructure. Will airports like Ekiti and the new Agro cargo terminal show what's possible?
Ekiti and Ogun, they have thought of this, and what they have initiated, we believe is scalable. But also they need to secure anchor services. That is, if you cannot have a freighter coming in, at least you should have regular flights that will be able to take in addition to passengers, because that is key. Once the players in the industry are guaranteed uptake, upload, they will come. What you do not want is for people to bring their commodities or shipments and it's stagnant and tied down.
There are so many factors that need to be considered when you are building cargo airports. You look at the infrastructure, the road infrastructure to access the airport. You look at the incentives that they can benefit that will make that airport to be more competitive or close to what is obtainable in Lagos. Again, you have to also look at how do you attract business owners that wants to patronize so that the volume will increase and the freight will come down.
Scaling cargo beyond Lagos is more than aviation reform. It is economic strategy. When exports lift up closer to where goods are produced, costs drop, jobs expand, and Nigeria competes more effectively on the global stage. Bukola Joe Oketumbi, Channels Television News.
In Imo, the state government has called on oil companies operating in the state to prioritize the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, stressing the need for full compliance with existing regulations. The call is made at the annual stakeholders and town hall meeting of oil-producing communities in Imo, organized by the state government through the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. Our correspondent, Akwa Ibom, tells us more.
Key stakeholders from Imo State's 3 oil-producing local government areas have gathered in Owerri for the annual stakeholders and town hall meeting of oil-producing communities. In attendance are traditional rulers, youth groups, town unions, security agencies, lawmakers, and representatives of oil companies operating within the state. Convened by the Imo State government through the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, the forum provides a platform for open dialogue on challenges confronting oil-producing communities and pathways towards sustainable development.
I think this meeting is very important because it's an appraisal meeting to see how far we have gone. It's a meeting of diagnosis and surgery, where all of us will look inwards and backwards to see what the oil companies have done in the past, whether they have gotten it right or not. The answer is what? No, they have not gotten it right.
The oil companies have not done well at all. And because they have not done well, you cannot plant cocoyam and expect to reap granules.
While some participants blamed oil companies for the challenges facing host communities, others pointed accusing fingers at government agencies, citing what they described as weak oversight and poor enforcement of regulations.
Know our problems, find solution, rather than putting all the problems on the head of the oil companies. That particular approach of calling the oil companies the problem of this area, I think, is a source of distraction.
Oil company representatives at the forum also shared their perspectives, outlining the operational challenges they face, while emphasizing ongoing efforts to engage host communities and sustain peaceful working relationships.
We are under a new dispensation and not making excuses under the PIA, not trying to hide under the PIA, but to emphasize the good work that the legislature has done with the advent of the PIA. What it does, for the sake of clarity, it provides no hiding place for transparency and taking responsibility.
Speaking for the Imo State government, the Commissioner for Niger Delta Affairs and Intelligence, Henry Okafor, declared that the long-standing neglect of those communities must end. He urged oil companies operating in Imo State to immediately begin full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act.
So the oil companies, I'm happy that they all attended as requested. They all attended, and here the complaint from our various communities, they had it, and they assured the communities that they're going to, give them full cooperation. And we did mention the PIA, because the PIA is a new face of oil community relation now, the 3% for whatever. So we have asked the oil companies that those companies that have not started implementing the PIA should quickly go and do that. That if there's any precipitate of violence as a result of failure to establish the PIA and do those things, the government is going to hold them responsible. So
attention now shifts to whether commitments made at the forum would translate into tangible actions that place community development at the heart of resource exploration. Channels Television News.
In a candid reflection on Nigeria's digital space, the Senior Special Assistant to President Bola Tinubu on Digital and New Media, Otega Ogra, has emphasized the government's responsibility to safeguard the digital space in a way that fosters healthy discourse, prevents misinformation, and ensures that social media remains a tool for progress rather than a threat to stability. The presidential aide, speaking on our discussion program Newsnight, stated that as media platforms evolve, the government must create appropriate legislation to manage what he described as a clear and present danger that we all acknowledge.
Social media is no longer about
having the truth or the facts out there. People are just putting things out there. You can't say certain things that we say in Nigeria. In some of the countries that, sponsor some civil society people to come fight about regulation here. A lot of things that I see Nigerians put, is a group of Nigerians put out there. If you did that in other countries, you would have the police knocking at your door. Your fines or, the punishment for that is very clear. But here, once you try to checkmate that, the conversations are always here by those who do not mean well for not just the current crop of Nigerians as we have, but even our generations yet unborn, is that our government has no business regulating how information is shared or used. No, government has an obligation and a responsibility to put national interests first. Laws are not meant to be static. Laws are meant to be, to move alongside the times. Laws are meant to reflect, justice, equity, fairness, but also reflect what your national interest is and put that above all else. So as platforms evolve, especially in the media and in the media space, it is very important that the government, takes that responsibility of creating appropriate laws to manage these new platforms, these new, and in some cases, a clear and present danger that we all acknowledge, but no one seems willing to, push forward and saying, oh, we need to fix this.
Now to catch the full interview with Oteka Ogra, please watch Newsnight by 9 p.m. on Monday, February the 9th on all channels television platforms. Still ahead on the news at 10. NDLEA operatives arrest 62-year-old businessman bound for China with 1.58 kilograms of cocaine at the Kano International Airport. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Fraud and fraudulent practices have again come under the spotlight as experts warn that the menace remains a major obstacle to Nigeria's development as they call on government and universities to respond through deliberate investment in forensic accounting education. The warning is coming amid growing concerns over the impact of corruption on public infrastructure, economic growth, and citizens' trust in governance as financial crimes continue to drain national resources and weaken public institutions across the country. Our correspondent, Percy Dabang, now reports.
Academics, students, professionals, and policymakers take their seat at the Akwa Ibom Indo Theatre of the Narabuta campus of the University of Jos for the institution's 114th inaugural lecture. The damaging impact of fraud on national growth is brought to the front banner as a professor of forensic accounting and auditing describes fraud as the bane of Nigeria's development. He notes that the persistent culture of corruption has weakened infrastructure, encouraged capital flight, and eroded public trust in government and public institutions.
Internal controls undermining economic growth and public trust. Strengthen governance frameworks, robust internal controls, and transparency are necessary to address these challenges. Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Although some Nigerian universities offer a course at postgraduate level, the inaugural lecturer identifies the lack of early training as at the undergraduate level as a factor that is limiting the country's capacity to prevent, detect, and investigate financial crimes.
Vigilance and innovation in fraud prevention must keep pace with advancements in fraud techniques. Please take your seats.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, who represented the Vice Chancellor of the University of Jos, Professor Ishaya Tanko, comments the presentation, saying it is timely and relevant to Nigeria's current governance and development challenges.
Whenever you want to solve a problem, in a nation, one of the places to go to is the university, where you have intellectuals that can provide solutions to the issues that are facing us. Now, what he has done today is to really unmask the whole problem of fraud and the whole question of fraud. Now, you discovered if you follow his recommendations, Nigeria will be the better for it.
The lecture ends with a call on policymakers, academics, professional bodies, and students to embrace forensic accounting and auditing as essential tools for transparency, accountability, and sustainable national development. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
In Jigawa, the state government is pledging to improve access to water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities in schools and health centers across the state. The technical advisor to the Jigawa state governor on child education, girl child education that is, Ms. Hawa Mustafa, made this known during the media engagement to assess the facilities in primary health care centers and primary schools in Jigawa state. This engagement, organized by the United Nations Children's Fund, was held in Dutse, the state capital. Our correspondent Nanchin Vincent reports.
We have a good plan.
It is our UNICEF and Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation organized media engagement workshop to address issues of quality healthcare and education with the full implementation of water, sanitation, and hygiene for children.
What is going to come up as a result of this media dialogue? That you need to promise me. Is that a promise? Is that a promise?
Data from a 2021 survey by the UNICEF and the World Health Organization Joint Monitoring Team shows that only 11% of public schools have basic wash facilities. Journalists take a tour of selected schools and healthcare centers to observe the level of compliance to WASH in terms of water supply, soap, among other hygiene supplies. The absence of these basic hygiene items is noted as a risk, which exposes the students to waterborne diseases.
We don't have a washing hand in the toilet. When people, poultries, come out from the toilet, we go and find the water and to wash their hand with soap or ash.
According to the state government, there are currently 3,345 schools in the state, and the state government plans to address the gaps in WASH services.
So for us, the issue of WASH is something that I want to make sure that it's part of the systems we are going to be implementing. And based on what they have said, based on the flexibility they have provided, I think it's an opportunity for us to make sure that, yes, the resources we are getting from them, substantial part of it has to go into what? WASH.
Stakeholders observed that improved collaboration and implementation of WASH policies will enhance the well-being of children and strengthen healthcare.
It shows that the government is very interested in the issues that we all went to the field and saw. We saw some schools that do not have these health facilities. We saw some these wash facilities, and we also saw some health facilities that don't have these basic wash facilities. That is why together we are sitting here this morning to say, let us look at ways that we can ensure that these things are put in place. This is a call to action. This program, we are blessed we have it. It's looking into so many factors. And one of the factors that I'm really happy to see on WASH program is the access to separate toilet for our girls, access to clean water, and above and beyond, even thinking about helping with sanitary pads.
Both UNICEF and Jigawa State Government are pledging to ensure full coverage of WASH services in schools and healthcare facilities across the state. From Dutse, Jigawa, Nanchin Vincent, Channels Television News.
Real estate practitioners, agri-experts and players within the financial industry gathered in Lagos as the first African Agro Real Estate Development Summit is convened to chart better ways of transforming land into a structured, bankable and productive asset. In their submission, speakers say this is possible without sacrificing credibility, which serves as a pathway to grow the agro real estate industry in Nigeria and in the continent. Managing Director and CEO of Asset Rise Limited, Oluwadurotimi Ajamomoye, is of the opinion that Nigerians can make a good living from investing in farming.
It is the first Africa Agro Real Estate Development Summit, and experts across the two industries are on hand to witness this important conference. In his welcome address, Mr. Ngozi Anyogo, a professional banker with experience spanning over 3 decades, speaks on how best to protect this groundbreaking idea of infusing these two sectors.
First African Agro Real Estate Development Summit is about putting governance around this innovative idea of creating wealth from agriculture, taking the state of agriculture being for the poor to escalating it to people that matter in society.
Industry players took turns to give their thoughts on the importance of the conference.
I can tell you, agro real estate is far more profitable than even the residential real estate. And we can create systems that can work and keep generating revenue for investors and also food to the country.
What you know of today as return on your investment is going to be opened in such a way that you will be seeing multiple benefits across the value chain.
Agricultural investment promoters should be required to provide standardized disclosures concerning project links, risk, governance arrangements, financial projections, and exit mechanism.
Take home from this summit cut across collaboration, partnership, and integrity, which are ingredients that will sustain the growth of agro real estate sectors in Nigeria.
For Lagos to be able to move at an accelerated speed towards ensuring food availability, food security, and lower price points for consumers, collaboration with other states is key.
We unveiled the consortium we had with Asset Rise in order to put structures, in order to put organizational structure into the way agro real estate is being done.
It's important for you to work according to the code and the ethics of the organization you represent. And one of the code is this: you collect money from people, give to them what they have bought from you.
At the end of deliberations, it was agreed that building a sustainable agro real estate in the country would require protecting natural resources, and AA Reds 2026 creates the opportunity for experts to bring in new ideas that can guarantee the protection of sustainable income for investors.
Popular skincare brand Nivea has rewarded 50 loyal customers of its body lotion with 50,000 Naira cash vouchers, while 10 others received 1 million Naira each. The rewards are part of its national consumer promotion tagged Win Your Share of 3 billion Naira, a campaign running through till March this year, 2026.
Buyers of Nigeria, makers of popular skincare brand Nivea, is rolling out the first edition of its Win Your Share of 3 billion Naira national consumer promotion. The Scratch, Win and Shine campaign is designed to reward loyal customers and consumers of the brand as they stand a chance to win instant airtime and weekly prizes by purchasing the promo bottles of Nivea body lotions.
Today we're here for the week 5 of the Win Your Share of 3 billion Naira promotion by Nivea. And it's just a way of giving back to our loyal consumers, right? And all you have to do to participate in this promotion is buy a Nivea promo bottle with the scratch sticker on it and just scratch the label, text your code to 7022. You get an instant 1,000 Naira airtime, and then you get to enter the live draw that happens every week on Thursday, which is why we're here. where we reward our customers and consumers in the raffle with 50,000 naira voucher for 50 lucky winners, and then 1 million naira every week to 10 consumers.
To ensure transparency and credibility, representatives of the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Authority and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission are on ground to witness the 5th live draw, which will announce few lucky winners.
I'm calling to congratulate you that you're one of the lucky winners of 1 million naira. I like the excitement. Nivea just made you a millionaire today.
Sir, I am happy, delighted, excited to tell you they are one of our 1 million naira winners.
Winners of the 1 million naira prize express their appreciation to the brand.
And I want to appreciate Nivea for what they did so far, because for consistent calling, because they called me more than 4 times for me to agree that this is actually true. So it was so shocking, and I'm so happy. I'm a millionaire richer, you know. Thank you so much, Nivea, for this great opportunity.
We got the car, I was like, 1 million naira. It sounds like one of those scam kind of things. So I was like, yeah. So then we're like, okay, we're going to kind of like look out for it. Then we checked on Instagram. We're like, oh, that's your number. I think it is real, so we decided to follow up. Thank you, Nivea. We really do appreciate this.
As Nivea's national consumer promotion runs until March 2026, the skincare brand is urging consumers to keep choosing its products and keep shining while it continues to reward loyalty and put smiles on the faces of people.
Operatives of the National Drug Enforcement Agency, the NDLEA, have arrested a 62-year-old Lagos-based businessman, Mwabweze Izueke, at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano, while heading to China with 95 jumbo-sized wraps of cocaine, weighing 1.589 kilograms, buried in his stomach. A statement signed by the Director of Media and Advocacy of the agency, Mr. Femi Babafemi, says Mwabweze was arrested on Saturday, January the 31st this year at the Kano airport during the outward clearance of passengers going to China via Addis Ababa on Ethiopian Airlines flight ET940. The statement explains that when Mwabweze was taken for a body scan, he tested positive for ingesting an illicit drug and was promptly placed under excretion observation. And while under observation, the suspect, who claims he's into the clothing and auto spare parts business in Lagos, expelled a total of 95 pellets of the Class A drug in 7 excretions. And now to the arts. Memories, Vision and Perception is an exhibition by Mustafa Namada in Kaduna State. The lecturer uses his paintings and mixed media pieces to capture childhood memories which celebrate culture, and we see it on Art Review tonight.
Mustafa Nadama, an associate professor of painting at the Department of Fine Art, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, is showcasing his body of work created from 2012 to date in this exhibition at the National Museum, Kaduna.
My journey has been quite fruitful, and it started quite at an early age, and I've been able to achieve a lot, risen to the rank of reader right now in the Department of Fine Art. I think Alhamdulillah, it's been okay.
His body of work serves as a reflective journey into childhood and identity, seamlessly integrating Northern cultural heritage into a contemporary artistic framework.
For every artist, there's a time in his life where he thinks that, okay, there's certain works that has not been seen, because it's been a collection of different works, from my master's to my PhD and to my private practice. Going through that, I noticed that there were a lot of works that I had not shown, and I decided to do that. That encouraged me when I was going through, looking at memories, my childhood memories, through the mud houses, the growing up in Gusau, Zamfara State, in Sokoto, my early upbringing, my Islamic schooling, and all that. So I think the inspiration is timely, and that's where we are now.
The artist's vision beyond the visible process moves viewers beyond the obvious, creating a space to linger and engage with the layers of history and memory.
Growing up, watching him create such beautiful masterpieces has always been comforting for us. It's always been part of our childhood, so we've always loved seeing him in his space. It's always been very, very beautiful to capture the emotions that he captures, the memories that are in the art, the hard work that he has poured into the work is truly beautiful to see displayed for the world to see, alhamdulillah.
His mastery of the brush is complemented by experimental textures that serve to evoke a nostalgic response.
In sports news, Rivers United hopes of making it out of the group phase of the CAF Champions League this season has been dashed as the Pride of Rivers were thrashed 4-1 by title holders Pyramids FC of Egypt at the Godswill Akwa Ibom Stadium in Uyo. Now the Egyptian side overturned a first-half deficit to clinch qualification for the quarterfinals with a match to spare, extending their impressive continental campaign. The result lifted Pyramids to 13 points at the summit of Group A, confirming their passage to the knockout phase. Rivers United, meanwhile, remain bottom with just 1 point and are now mathematically eliminated. Pyramids will conclude the group phase at home against Power Dynamos, knowing their quarterfinal place is already secured. Nasarawa United were held to a 1-1 draw by Bayelsa United in match day 25 of the Nigeria Premier Football League play this evening in Lafia. Victor John got the opener for the Solid Miners in the 7th minute, while Henry Otuanya leveled the scoring in the 37th minute. Ikorodu City moved top of the league following a 2-0 win against Niger Tornadoes. The Lagos-based team now have 41 points from 25 games, same points with Rivers United, but the Pride of Rivers have 4 games in hand. Kano Pillars edge Remo Stars, Kun Khalifa beat Shooting Stars in Owerri, and at the new Jos Stadium, Plateau United beat Quarry United by a 0-0. Wiki Tourist and Katsina United played out a 3-3 draw in Bauchi. In England, Erling Haaland's stoppage time penalty earned Man City a dramatic 2-1 win at Liverpool to reduce Arsenal's lead at the top of the Premier League back to 6 points. City were heading for defeat at Anfield with 6 minutes to go before Bernardo Silva cancelled out Dominic Szoboszlai's stunning free kick to spark an incredible finale. Victory was City's first away to Liverpool in front of a crowd since 2003 and reapplies some pressure to Arsenal's quest for a first title in 22 years. Earlier, Ismail Assar's second-half goal helped Crystal Palace end the woeful 12-match winless run with a 1-0 win away to expedite the implementation of developmental projects aimed at mitigating the effects of ocean surges and ongoing oil exploration on Elijah communities in Ondo State. Speaking during the inauguration of the association's new executives in Lagos, Yomolere stressed the urgent need for robust infrastructural interventions, disaster preparedness programs, and sustainable community projects to safeguard lives, livelihoods, and local ecosystems.
These are people, very hardworking people living in the coastal area of Ondo State. Of course, if I can tell you, that's why we are the oil that the state government is supposed to know. And this is part of our problem, despite the fact that it's more or less the success that we have oil. But I mean, the regulations and the effect of this exploration of oil is enormous. It's enormous. So we need to see how government compensate that area by some other development progress, especially healthcare, education, maybe good roads and water. These are essential things for human sustainability. I don't think we are asking too much.
Outside our shores, Japan's ruling party, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, appears set for a landslide victory in Sunday's snap election. An exit poll by public broadcaster NHK projects that Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, and its coalition partner, the Japan Innovation Party, could win up to 366 of the 465 seats in the House of Representatives. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu and his wife Oluremi will undertake a state visit to the United Kingdom in the month of March this year, the first by a Nigerian leader in 37 years. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. From all of us here, do have a good night.